Go ahead.
I'm assuming Pete's talking about where RG3 basically said it's a disaster for the Browns to keep both rookie quarterbacks as the backup and then the third, to have both of them there, that's going to make for a disaster. I think he said that. Maybe it was earlier today. I do think, well, for one, I think Dillon Gabriel is better than Shedeur Sanders. I've been on record saying, back even when I watched the film, I was never a huge Shedeur Sanders believer watching the film. A lot of his issues with his footwork and his drifting. Like the moment I watched the first half of one game of just watching him, I said there are fundamental problems from Shedeur Sanders. And there are. Now, a guy like Cam Ward has some of the same fundamental problems at times where he drifts a little bit. The difference is that he has next level, like insane arm talent. Shedeur Sanders doesn't have that kind of arm talent. Now, I do understand how two rookie quarterbacks could make it a mess in there. Like, it does seem strange. And then bringing in Bailey Zappi today screams to me that they're not comfortable with these two guys at all. Like either one of them, really, but especially one of them. They didn't say who, but they didn't bring Bailey Zappi in just to go sit on the practice squad. People are going to say that, but that's not what this was. This was they're hunting a backup quarterback to Joe Flacco, in my opinion.
So who would you rather have? And regardless of where he got sent, because I know that's going to get brought up, but they just shipped out Kenny Pickett and then turned around and signed Bailey Zappi. Are they that different?
That's a good question. Not really. I don't think so. I do think between Gabriel and Sanders, Gabriel plays on time. Like he does all the fundamental things correct. He has some size limitations and things like that. But he does tend to read defenses better. He can get to his second progression. He gets rid of the ball quicker. Shedeur just doesn't play that way. So it's concerning. Like the Shedeur stuff is concerning, man. It really is.
It is.
And when you watched his first preseason game, when everybody felt really good about him, they got the ball in short territory twice. The Panthers weren't playing anybody. They didn't send anybody. They played as vanilla as you could imagine on defense. As soon as the bullets started really firing a little bit, you watched those same fundamental problems come right back that I talked about in February, March, when we were watching his film and talking about it on here. So that stuff is still there and doesn't seem to be cleaned up a whole lot.
Yeah. I think you make a good point there with what the Panthers were doing against him. And I think it's part of the bigger picture here too is, we tell ourselves every offseason before it's here, don't get too hyped on the preseason, for better or worse, right? Like, don't take the good with a grain of salt, take the bad with a grain of salt. I think people kind of lose sight or kind of forget of how vanilla some of these, not only offenses, but defenses run in the preseason, because it doesn't matter. Like, these are just, let's see what these guys do with vanilla play calls, because we're trying to see what players are going to make the team. So I think you're right. I think that makes a lot of sense. And when we saw, the following week and this past weekend, it was this past weekend, right, where he took like multiple sacks for huge losses.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where you're starting to see the real concerns. You saw him against a weak vanilla defense, and it's like, oh yeah, he looks good. But
when you go back and watch it, I'm telling you, when his feet are correct and he adjusts his feet and he throws the ball on time, he is fine. But there are times, and there were tons of times at Colorado. Fine, correct, because there is not super elite arm talent there. It's just average NFL arm talent at best.
What is his ceiling comp?
So then when his feet aren't there, he opens up and the ball floats. I'm telling you, the ball floats, and he ends up throwing interceptions. It happens at Colorado. It's still there.
Let's say he gets that under control, right? Let's say his footwork gets consistent. He hits his ceiling. He hits his stride, performs to the best of his ability. What is his ceiling comp in the NFL today or within the last 5 years?
I'm not going to say the last 5 years, but the first thing that comes to mind is just like middle of the road, and it's like a Ryan Tannehill, somewhere in that range. It's a little bit athletic enough to get out of the pocket, but will also make some stupid mistakes. But I don't even, that may even be too high, honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
Coach harps on him all the time. We saw it this past weekend, especially. He just likes to drift around and hold on to the ball way longer than he should. Like, he just takes sacks for that. So
he also has been hit a whole lot. He got sacked 97 times in college or something like that. Some insane number. Like, there's a little bit, but he's probably a little bit gun shy to go with it. So that's probably a little bit concerning as well.
I didn't know who my answer was, but I kind of had one tickle in the brain a little bit. And when Tyler said Ryan Tannehill, I kind of thought you were going to spit out the same name I was thinking, but it's similar. I feel like maybe Andy Dalton.
maybe.
I think Dalton's better than him.
Ceiling. I'm saying Shedeur Sanders ceiling.
I think the problem is it's like we're trying to force, the square into the round cog kind of thing. Sure. And it's really tough because there's a lot of fundamental issues like Coach is talking about with the footwork and kind of just airing it out. And at the same time, I do think there's something to be said about him being sacked 90 times in college and him just automatically thinking, okay, I need to backpedal and run for my life. And those plays worked in college. We saw this past season. Caleb Williams did that at USC all the time. He did it at OU before USC. And he gets to the Bears and he tries it and it went bad almost every time.
Like, and he has a bigger arm.
And he has a bigger arm and a better arm. And, everyone wants to pull off those Mahomes plays, but it's not how it works.
It doesn't work in the NFL like it
does.
Now,
Sanders does see the field decent. When he's comfortable, he goes through progressions pretty well. Like, that's a plus for him when he's comfortable. He just is not comfortable back there a lot.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things where sometimes he feels rushed. I think the internal clockiness for him just starts running, and he feels like he has to go. And that's something that with repetition can change. I'm not saying it can't change. I mean, Tyler, you mentioned Ryan Tannehill. He started his career, and it wasn't necessarily the best thing in the world, and then he kind of revitalized it in Tennessee. Can Shedeur do that? Absolutely.
I talked about this with Caleb last season, where what happens to that quarterback – sorry, I'm nerding out a little bit, but what happens to that quarterback is when he gets the ball, when he's used to that, his eyes or his peripheral is all at the defensive line all the time. So instead of seeing out here, he's seeing right here in front of him because he's so used to, oh, I'm in trouble, I got to run around. When you do that, like even if your eye comes down a little bit to the 3, let's say it goes from progression read 1 to the 3 technique, then oh crap, it's over. It's done. Then you're done for.
And the game moves faster. It's just simple as that. It's faster than it does at
Colorado. You get sacked a lot, you tend to do that more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Coach landed on us with some ball knowledge there. No, it's great. I think people want to hear it. I really do think that. And I think we can even talk about, the progression side, because I think a lot of people just think that, oh, well, he should be reading the opposite side of the field when maybe the play is on the other side of the field. And Coach, if you want to take a second to talk about that, you can. Otherwise, I'm going to answer a question about an offensive lineman.
Well, obviously, it depends on the type of play that's called. But I lose my mind sometimes when people they'll watch the game, think they're in a double set. He reads the play to the right pre-snap, and people think, well, he should have threw that ball down the left sideline. Well, it doesn't work like that. Like, there's combinations happening. A lot of times there's a combo happening on the right. There's a combo happening on the left, right? The one on the right could be to go against cover 2. The one on the left could be to attack man-to-man, right? Well, if I pre-snap read this coverage as a certain thing, when I come up and I start reading the right side, there's not time for me to come back and reread the left side. You know what I mean? It doesn't work that way. And that's just one instance. I mean, there's a lot of different concepts and stuff being ran. But if you don't see the picture there, it's just not as simple as people think.